Hey guys, Lucas here again. I'm going to be doing something different, something I've never done before. I'm actually going to be reviewing a TV show, but not just any TV show. I'm going to be reviewing, in my opinion, the greatest show of all time, Breaking Bad, because I just finished the whole entire series a couple of days ago. And I didn't watch it when it was on TV. I kind of started on Netflix about 2 months ago and just watched the thing all the way through. And I'm here to give you my thoughts on it and really just a analysis on why I think it's the greatest show of all time. I even have my Breaking Bad shirt for this one, Walt and Jesse, which I had to break out just for this review. I'm sure most of you know what this show's about, but just for a quick recap, Walter White, a chemistry teacher living in Albuquerque, New Mexico, finds out he has terminal lung cancer. He's on a teacher's salary, can't really afford the medical bills, so he starts cooking meth with his former student, played by Aaron Paul, Jesse Pinkman, and slowly but surely Walt and Jesse become kind of the kingpins of New Mexico through crystal meth. And FYI, this is obviously going to be full of spoilers, so if you haven't seen the show, or you haven't seen the show all the way through, stop now. Whew, where do I begin with this show? I mean, there's so much stuff I could talk about to say why it's great that this could really be a 40-minute video. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with the performances, and I'm going to start off with Mr. Walter White himself, Bryan Cranston. I think just yesterday, Bryan Cranston got an actual letter from Sir Anthony Hopkins himself, one of the greatest actors of all time, sent Bryan Cranston a letter saying that your performance on the show is one of the greatest pieces of acting I've ever seen. And that's Sir Anthony effing Hopkins sending that. So I probably won't do the description of his performance any justice, but here we go. What's so impressive about Bryan Cranston in this role is from about seasons 1 to the beginning or middle of 3, Walter White, he is this timid, kind of shy, kind of a loser chemistry teacher who really feels like he has achieved nothing because his business partners that he created this whole company and this whole technology called gray matter in college, I believe, with these two partners. And he kind of sold his way out of it, and it eventually became a multi-billion-dollar corporation. So he is just, he feels like he has potential that he hasn't never been able to utilize. And for the first 3 seasons or so, he slowly but surely transforms into the Walter White we know. He still manages to capture this sense of earnestness and innocence in a way in Walter for the first couple seasons, and then when he becomes Heisenberg, when he fully transforms into the kingpin Heisenberg Walter White, that's great because his performance, you buy it from this calm, timid guy to this insane drug kingpin, and the transformation was fantastic. And you don't see Bryan Cranston in the role, you think Walter White, and I still think that Walter White is maybe the greatest TV character of all time. And of course we can't forget about his partner Jesse Pinkman, played by Aaron Paul, who I think I've actually never seen do anything in any other medium until I watched this show, and I'm sure he's going to blow up after this. But Jesse is such a sympathetic character, and again has such a great transformation from, unlike Walt, the calm, timid guy, to this evil, just drug kingpin. Jesse was this, junkie, wannabe gangster punk, and turns into this, kind of the moral center of the show. And, Aaron Paul's performance mixed with the writing is just another great transformation. And there are so many times in this series where he had me on the verge of tears because, again, I don't see Aaron Paul when I watch the show. I see Jesse Pinkman. And the stuff that he's had to go through, between Jane dying, between, Brock, finding out that Walt poisoned Brock, to killing Gale, to having Andrea get shot in the head. Everything just culminated, getting tortured for months by Meth Damon Todd. Everything has just been so incredibly cruel for this guy, and you feel for him, and I think he becomes the most sympathetic character at the end of the show. Quickly, the supporting cast, Dean Norris as Hank, the DEA agent, is great. He's funny. He's badass. Great character, Skylar, Walter White's wife. I know a lot of fans didn't like her, but I was actually, I could see how they thought she was the typical naggy, kind of annoying wife in the first couple of seasons. But, to me, she always seemed really realistic, and I sided with her. I mean, if I found out that my wife was, a meth kingpin, I probably wouldn't take that very well. And let's not forget the villains of the show. Tuco, Salamanca, Crazy, the guy that they teamed up with in the first 2 seasons just turned out to be an insane psychomaniac. He was great because you never knew what he was going to do. And probably the best character or villain in the show, or probably one of the greatest villains ever, is Gus Fring, played by Giancarlo Esposito. He was such a great character because he is so calm, cool, and collected, but also could kill and just do these gruesome murders. And he was so smart. He was kind of like the evil version of Walt before Walt kind of succumbed to his level later on. But they also made him so sympathetic in certain scenes when you find out his backstory, and it was just this dichotomy of whether you should root for him or whether you should not, kind of like with Walt. But Gus eventually had to go, but he was also great. Mike, who worked for Gus and ended up working with Walt and Jesse, one of my favorite characters, incredibly badass. Jonathan Banks is perfect. Saul Goodman is fantastic, played by Bob Odenkirk. He's the comic relief of the show. His dialogue was hysterical, and Bob Odenkirk played him great. I love that character. Marie, Huel, Hubie. There's so many supporting characters and so many great characters in the show that it's really hard to get through everyone in one video. Todd, played by Jesse Plemons. Meth Damon, incredible villain, a sociopath. This video is going to be very jumbled because there's so much to talk about in one video. But every character, every actor, not a weak link in the bunch. Every performance was great, but the 2 main leads really hold the show together. But the single greatest strength about Breaking Bad is the writing. One, like I said, these characters, the journey they go through, but also just the sense of storytelling and never writing themselves into a corner. As an aspiring director and screenwriter, this show has probably had the single most biggest impact on me in just ways of unconventional writing, dialogue, storytelling. It's so inspirational, and the fact that they tell a story so beautifully, and the progression. They took their time. They never succumbed to fan demands. They never cheated themselves. They always stayed true to their roots. And it was incredible to watch. The show, the writing is just fantastic. Vince Gilligan is my hero. He's a genius. And the show has this incredible knack for using small things or small details or scenes from earlier seasons or things that you wouldn't even think about, and they come to play in a big way later on, or they mention them. And the smallest thing in this movie, the smallest things in the show, come back. For example, one of the greatest moments in the show, and the kind of turning point for Walt into becoming the crazy sociopath, psychopath that he kind of became, was when Jesse's girlfriend Jane died, and he watched her die. That was a big turning point for both Walter and Jesse, but Jesse didn't even find out that Walt watched her die until season 5, and that sense of tension and knowing that Walt has so many secrets led up to. They kept that for 3 seasons. While that's not a small detail, that is something to hold on to for that long, and it really makes the impact of when Walt finally does reveal it all that much greater. And let's also say the box that Jesse said he sold in season 3 for an ounce of weed or whatever, and we see him polishing that in the final episode of the season, when we think that's just like something that would have been long gone. But all these things, there's so many details, and the symbolism of the show, you have to pay attention to everything, and that's what a great show should do. It should have these great details that you can debate and argue, and I just think the writing in the show is so incredible. The show can be very hard to watch at times just because it's very dark, especially in the first season. But I felt like as the show went on, they really mastered the blend of drama and comedy, especially with Huel, which is, I think, the perfect name for that character, played by Liddell Crawford, and especially Saul Goodman, played by Bob Odenkirk. They always knew when something was, especially in a very serious episode where stuff was going down, that they had to have a blend of humor. And humor in a show like this, where there's a lot of drama, a lot of big stuff happening, a lot of character-based performances, that comedy not only relieves tension, but also can heighten tension, and I feel like this show did that masterfully. Honestly, I can't think of any weak or bad episode in the entire show. That's something I think I can never say about any show that I've ever watched, where there hasn't been one single bad episode in its entirety. And I felt that the season finale wrapped up everything perfectly. I love the scene in the season finale where Walt confesses to Skyler that he didn't do it for his family. He did it for him near the end, and I love that the progression and the transformation of a character is really what the show is about. And I feel like the transformation from Walter White from season 1 to season 5, the last season, is an incredible transformation, not just for him but for every character in the show. I thought it was fantastic. I thought it tied up all the loose ends perfectly. I really can't think of anything bad about this show. All these reasons and more. I know this video was kind of jumbled because there's so much to talk about in one video. But all these things to me just make Breaking Bad the best show ever. I can't think of anything that I would change. Whenever there was something I thought was going to happen, or I thought they were going a predictable route, it succeeded my expectations and did stuff in ways I'm like, oh my god, that's genius, how did I not think of that? The show is incredible. I know I'm gushing. I know you've probably seen the show, but obviously the show gets a 5 out of 5 all around. It's the best show of all time. That's why I think it's the greatest show of all time. And I'm finally done with this rant, but I loved it. The show did leave one question for me, though. Is Huel still in that damn safe house? I mean, has he been waiting there the whole time? That's one thing I would like to know. But please, if you watched the show, let me know what you thought of it. Do you agree with me that it's the best show of all time? And if you don't agree, do you still think it's one of the greatest shows of all time? And also let me know if you're going to be watching the spin-off, Better Call Saul, and I'm definitely going to be watching that whenever that hits. So please comment below, let me know what you thought. I won't be doing any other TV reviews. This was just for this show because I couldn't not talk about how great the show is. But please subscribe if you like this video. Please rate, comment, all that good stuff. And see you later, bitch. Bitch!